we say friend of the show, we really mean friend of the show, but I'm going to say bestie friend of the show. My friend, Scott McGillivray is here, everybody. Let's welcome him to the room. How are you, my friend?
I am so good. I'm even better now that I'm in the room with you.
We used to do a lot of shows together on the TV side.
Yeah, you know that a lot of people come up to me and they say, I love your show, but I love you with Marilyn.
Oh.
Yeah, I love you with Marilyn.
Reunited feels so good. You've been really busy.
Yeah. I mean, keeping busy.
That's good. What have you been up to?
Well, we're filming shows. We're filming season 6 of Vacation House Rules, so we're doing a lot of cottage renovations. We're in the middle of filming season 2 of Renovation Resort, which I'm telling you right now, this season is off the charts. Almost all good things. There is one struggle. I mean, I had to work with Brian all summer.
Brian Balmer?
Yeah. I know, but
yeah. Well, you got to do what you got to do.
You got to do.
Yeah.
We all have struggles. We all have that coworker.
I have to work with Marilyn.
Yeah.
Kidding.
Yeah. So we're working on those shows. I'm excited for them because they'll be coming out in a few months, early spring.
Good.
Yeah. On top of that, doing my real estate stuff, trying to help people. People are a little, there's a bit of a struggle out there in the real estate space for people. People are nervous. They're wondering what's going to happen. They're hoping interest rates continue to come down.
Mm-hmm.
So just working with first-time home buyers, working with investors, trying to help them make strategic decisions so that they can survive in this market.
So you just had one of those sessions, if you want to call it events, just happened recently.
Yeah. We do our big Keyspire real estate investing events. We had one last weekend.
And you had a special guest?
Yeah. We had Shaquille O'Neal. He came to town to speak at our event.
Yeah.
He is, first of all, he's very funny. Super nice guy. He's bigger than you think, though.
Yeah?
Yeah, because he came in, I was standing in the green room, and everyone just kind of looked at me. I'm like, what's everyone looking at? I didn't realize he was coming in behind me in the door, and he was ducking to get into the door. And so I turned around quickly as he was coming in, and my nose got stuck in his belly button.
Now, we just were mentioning earlier this week about Shaquille trying to disguise himself at nighttime with a hood over his head just to see if anybody stops to say, hey, Shaq, because he doesn't think he could be recognized.
Oh,
Within
right.
seconds.
Yeah, people know.
Within seconds.
Yeah, but you know what I love? How when he does this in Toronto, because, he was here for the event, then he went out and he did a DJ session. People weren't racing up to him. People were like, hey, Shaq, and just sort of walked by casually, politely.
Yeah.
And he was like, are you kidding me? So, yeah, he had a good time with it.
Did you shake his hand? He has the biggest hand in the world.
He went to hold my hand at one moment. I didn't know what to do. We were chatting. And he kind of, when you kind of put your hand on someone's hand, like, hey, how's it going?
Yeah.
And he just kind of held my hand. And I was like, okay, so I'm going to hold hands with Shaq. It felt like when I was holding my kids' hands when they were little kids. I was like, I'm the kid now.
You're the kid now.
But he's hilarious. He got up, he walked into the crowd and started chatting with people and hugging people. He's really a great guy.
Yeah.
And, his goal is to spread joy and do things that he loves. And he always said, he says, now, my mom's got a house and she doesn't have to worry about that, so I can just have fun with everything else. That's my
cool.
priority.
Yeah. What a good son he is.
Yeah, he's a good guy.
You want to call out him and tell him that for me?
Sure, I'll let him know.
Let him know, because that's I said, just buy me a house in Palm Beach. I'll be happy. Still nothing. Crickets. When people stop you on the street, what do they say to you? What kind of comments do you get? Or do they ask for advice, or what happens?
Yeah, I get a little bit of everything, I think.
Yeah.
People, they usually say, I met you somewhere, like I went to one of your events, or I met you here, I was at the Marilyn Denis show, or, my cousin was on your show, or you renovated my uncle's place. So someone's always got a connection, I feel, right? But yeah, people do ask for advice. They're like, hey, I'm trying to, buy my first house.
Yeah.
What should I do? A lot of young people, you know what I have to say? Although this weekend I was trying to help a lot of people investing who might be struggling, there were a lot of young people, like 17, 18, 19, 20 years old, wanting to do something with their lives, wanting to be entrepreneurs, wanting to invest in real estate. I really enjoyed seeing that enthusiasm.
What was your one takeaway that you think that they walked out of that?
Well, I think if I could give you the one takeaway, I said to the young folks, I said, yeah, it's scary out there and people are fearful, but it's a good time to be greedy when others are fearful. So even though the market might feel like there's a lot of pressure on you, there's a lot of silver lining right now.
You have 2 little girls.
I sure do.
And they see what Dad does. Mom's a teacher.
Yep.
And so what do you think? What do you think they're going to do when they grow up?
You know what? They're free to do whatever it is that they would like to do, of course. And they start to ask a lot of questions now. You know, like I have a 10-year-old and a 12-year-old. My 12-year-old might as well be 16. The way she's acting lately.
Yeah.
But they do ask a lot of questions like, how does this work? Like, how does this real estate investing stuff? They ask about money and working. It's funny because I usually look at their math problems and we work it into a money situation.
Sure.
Then they kind of get a little more interested because, kids want to buy stuff. They're searching online and, so we're starting to have those money conversations. They don't necessarily fully know what they want to do when they grow up. It's funny. They say to me things like, Dad, I don't understand how it works. Like because they come to the office and they see there's all these people working. They're like, who pays all these people? They're like, do you pay all these people? I'm like, well, yeah, I pay all these people. They're like, how do you? Who pays you? Like, how do you get paid? Where does all the money come from?
But isn't it great what they think? And it's really, I guess my point is that we have to start talking about money with our kids when they're little, so they understand that this doesn't come out of a machine on the side of a building.
Yeah, there's a lot of things that need to happen, and right now our curriculum does not, promote financial literacy to the level that it really should be required. And I hear the questions, and I always say to people, there's no bad questions, but it does still surprise me how little the average individual understands about their own finances, about their own property, about taxes. And so we're always trying to spread the education in this space. I'm always trying to do webinars or events. I'm like, let me just explain one thing to simplify it for you, how you're actually making money on this piece of real estate versus wasting money on this thing over here. So, yeah, we need to have the conversation with our kids. They need to start thinking about this.
Who taught you, Scott,
well,
about money, and when?
To be fair, my parents were both pretty frugal, would be the right word. My father was a chartered accountant, so he made us do like spreadsheets before, you could do them on Excel.
Wow.
I remember when I was going away to school, he made me do a budget. He made me do all this stuff. And he would go to the bank often. And so if I ever took money out of my account, he would ask me, he's like, you took $20 out. He's like, what was that for? I was like, oh, my gosh, he's always watching. So you always felt guilty spending money.
Yeah.
And whenever I would save money, he'd be like, oh, very good. Your account balance is going up, and maybe we should talk about doing some investments. So I would say my father, when I was pretty young as a teenager, he was pretty stringent about money and very careful about saving.
Yeah.
Good.
I just think it's really important. My dad was the same way with 4 girls. That's why I ask about your daughters.
Yeah.
About, from what tools are, fixing things around the house.
Oh, yeah.
Because he knew that if I saw it, I would do it, I would get it. And also making it fun for them because a lot of people are very lost right now. Sometimes I get lost too. But having that kind of, groundwork when you're a little kid really helps a lot. So you feel, I don't know, you don't feel like it's overwhelming.
Yeah, I think gamifying it with the kids is a really smart way to get them interested, to pique their interest. Because once they understand a little bit about financial literacy, they get excited. They understand the answers when they're in class. It's kind of like if a kid has a tutor and then they're in the classroom and the teacher asks the questions and the kids are already familiar with it, they put their hand up, their confidence goes up.
Their confidence,
right?
That's the word
So that's
for,
what's really important is we get them familiar with it.
Let's talk about weird things that Scott posts on X sometimes about things that he sees in people's homes.
Oh, boy.
I follow you. I follow you. You know
do.
I do. And we were just talking about, off mic about this house that's our apartment in New York. It's $20 million, and it has the world's, for an apartment, biggest rock climbing,
wall.
the wall that,
In the house.
In the house.
In the condo.
In the house. So it just makes me think about what's the weirdest thing that you do post them, but what's the weirdest thing you've seen?
I see a lot of crazy stuff. I mean, you get your extravagant things like world's biggest rock climbing wall in your apartment, which is a little bit gimmicky. I see some crazy things in these like ultra wealthy spaces as well. People build their own squash courts. People build a full hockey rinks, like with cooled ice. Lots of weird stuff like that. But for me, realistically, I find the kind of design fails the most interesting. That's what I like to post about.
And you did.
I'm like, oh my goodness. Look at, like, I share it all the time. I'm like, these people had to cut out the shape of the toilet in the door so it could swing open. Like, how is that any good? You know, you're going to the bathroom, half your door's cut out.
There was one toilet, David. It's funny. It was on a stage.
Yes.
It was like, I don't know how many steps
The
to get
toilet
up.
on a stage?
And then the toilet was up on a stage.
Wow.
And do you know why? Here's the question to your viewers, because I've posted this before. You'll see a toilet, and you walk into a bathroom, and you go up like 5 or 6 steps, like a throne, the true throne.
Right.
And people are like, why would anyone do that? Why would? And I know why people do that.
I'm dying to know.
It's because they're in a basement and they're trying to get the toilet above the sewage exit line. So they're probably on septic, and it doesn't go.
So it'll go down instead of across.
Because they don't have it in the floor, it goes out the wall a couple feet off the ground. So they have to get the toilet 3-4 feet off the ground so they can have. When it flushes, it goes out the wall.
Yeah.
So they'll put the toilet up on like 5 or 6 steps. It's ridiculous.
Of all the things that you do, there's so many things. What's your favorite thing? Like, what do you, when you wake up knowing I'm going to do this today, you're very happy?
You know what? It's the beginning. I started as a real estate investor doing renovations, converting properties, real estate investing. It's something that I can do casually. It's something that I can do quietly. So even though I try to share everything I learned, right? I've bought and sold and renovated over 1,000 properties, and I do lots of real estate investing in different types of capacities. I love sharing all of that, but even more than loving the sharing, I just love doing it for myself. So I'll quietly on a Sunday, you might just see me show up at an open house or something, and people are like, what are you doing here? And I'm like, I think there's an opportunity with this property.
Yeah.
So I shock people a lot when I show up to look at properties. They're like, what is Scott McGillivray doing here looking at a property? I'm like, this is what I like to do. I just go and looking at properties.
Yeah. That's where it starts.
Yeah,
like
that's where
you
it
said.
starts. That's great. Scott, thanks for coming in today. I hope you're not going to be a stranger and come visit us again.
I will absolutely be back anytime.
I know, and you're such a dear friend, and we're so grateful for you to do that. And thanks for playing Beat the Bank with
Yeah,
us.
Scott, thanks.
Happy.
Great seeing you.
Scott McGillivray, everybody.